If you like this sound, well, stick around because you might be able to get it for free. Hey there, Alex from Nami Audio here. Hope you're doing great. Today is an exciting day because we are finally done with the making of the free Kontakt Libraries range. Links of previous videos in the description box below if you don't know what I'm talking about. In the last one, I told you 3 controls were left to code, and now that they are done, let me show you what it's all about. So let's start with these 2 controls in the color panel, and here they are called attack and sustain. But it's not always the case. These controls will differ depending on the library you'll be using. I decided to classify them into 3 categories: drums and percussions, synthesizers, and every other remaining instruments like pianos, strings, and more. So let's start with the drum sounds. At first, I wanted to create a tune-up compressor, something like threshold and ratio or inputs and outputs. But let's be honest, we all already have our favorite compressor plugin. What's the point of having one in the library itself? For me, sample libraries is a way of sparking ideas and generate new sound quickly. It's not about having the perfect mix right away. So I decided to make those 2 controls sculpt the sound and change the samples character easily. So here you have attack and sustain. This controls a transient shaper inside of Kontakt. And if you're familiar with native instruments, this is actually the same transient shaper as their plugin Transient Master. Let's have a listen. Now let's move on and look at the parameters you'll get if the library is a synthesizer. So the first one is drift, and it adds a slow LFO modulating the overall pitch of the instrument, recreating the instability of vintage synthesizers. Now, before looking at the second parameter, I'd like to tell you a quick story. This is the sequential circuits Prophet 600, and I'm going to put it down because it's quite heavy. It is the little brother of the more famous Prophet 5. It has 6 voices of polyphony with 2 VCO per voice, and this is why I love it so much. This is one of my first synths, and when I purchased it, I was so happy to finally be able to do this. This is probably the most known trick to do with 2 oscillators, but personally I will never get bored of this. For those who don't understand what I'm talking about, it consists of slightly detuning the second oscillator to get a wider and thicker sound. Let me show you a simple chord progression with and without the oscillator detuning. And now let's look at another classic synth, the Roland Juno 106. This one also has 6 voices of polyphony, but with 1 DCO per voice. And I believe this is why they added the wonderful chorus. In my opinion, this one is even bigger and wider than the Prophet 600 because it has stereo outputs. And for this reason, one thing I like to do with the Prophet is to record 2 takes, slightly detune one from another, and pan them hard left and hard right. Let me show you. Okay, that's great and everything, but why am I saying all of this? Well, that's because what I've just showed you is exactly what the second control, spread, is doing. It duplicates the signal and gradually tunes them in opposite direction. It also increasingly pans the two signal hard left and hard right. So for example, let's play just with this simple sawtooth wave. And now let's add a little bit of spread. And let's get crazy with it. And finally, if the library is based around any other remaining instruments, this is what the two controls will do. This is a simple 4 chords loop I recorded using the library Hammer and Felt. And now I'd like it to give a little bit more instability. And to do so, I'm going to use another favorite gear of mine, which is a 4-track deck from Tascam. So first, let's record the loop onto the tape. And now let's play it back. As you can hear, the loop is way less stable and it has quite some movement. And this is exactly what the first control Whoa is doing on the interface. Like Drift for synth, it adds a slow LFO modulating the instrument's pitch. Let's have a listen. So here you have a little piano patch. And now let's add a little bit of whoa on the sound. One other thing I love to do with tape is what's called the flutter. It is a faster and deeper pitch modulation and almost audio dropout. And you probably guessed it already, this is what the second control is doing. So let's have a listen. Let's leave whoa as it is, and I'm going to add a lot of flutter so you can hear the effects. By playing with both whoa and flutter, you can really recreate a tape-like sound or completely destroy the patch. Alright, that's it for the two color controls. But what's the deal with the big knob in the center? Well, depending on the library, this one also won't have the same function all the time. But for this one, you'll have to wait for each library to come out to know what it's all about. And speaking of releasing libraries, I have to admit something. I lied to you at the beginning of the video. Remember when I was playing the Prophet with the beautiful Big Sky reverb? Well, actually, the sound wasn't coming at all from the synth itself. This is one of the patches you'll find in the very first Explore library, and it's called Simple 8. As the name suggests, this is a 8-voice synthesizer with 3 oscillators per voice. A sawtooth, a pulse, and a triangle 1 octave below the 2 other one, which is called sub. And all of these were recorded on my beloved ARP 2600. With the library comes a few snapshots, but I believe this is just a fraction of what the interface can do. And I need your help to change that. As we started this project together, I'd love if we could finish it together as well. So here is what I'm proposing to you. Have a play with the library, get to know the interface, and create your own snapshots. Once done, it would be great if you could send them to me so I can add them to the library for everybody else in the community. Let me show you how to proceed. Let's say this is the patch that you created. First, you'll need to create the snapshot location on your computer, and this is how you do. Click on the little spanner here, then go into Instrument Options, and in the Snapshot tab. Then click on Show, and this will pop up. Select Yes, and a new folder will be created on your computer where every snapshot will be saved. Now you can close this, and to save it, simply go into the little Snapshot tab here, and you're going to click on this little disk. Now you can name your presets, and hit save. Once you created all the presets you wanted, you can go back onto the folder, and this is the file you can send me. By the way, if you want to understand how to use fully the interface, you will find once downloaded a user manual in the files. Simple 8 is out on the website, so you can get it right away for free. However, if you want, you can add a tip while ordering to support my work and help me develop future libraries for you guys. A lot more libraries will come out soon, and I'm very excited to show them to you. Until then, I'll leave you here with some already made patches demos of Simple 8. I hope you like it. Alright, take care and see you very soon. Bye.